How's it going, Sand Fam? And thank you so much for bearing with us in these mighty fine times. Oh, yes, I got the awesome, the one and only, the dancing by himself over here, Half Dork, to join me today. Thank you so much, Half
Hello.
Dork. Uh,
Hi, thank you for having me. You told me there was going to be a dance-in. So I'm over here busting a move, burning calories.
I hit the button and guess what happened? It put on a little delay to it for that intro. It turned out it was transitioning at the wrong time, my friend. But yes, we have the one, the only Half Dork with us tonight because this sudden week of missing Joseph, we gotta have some guests show up in the spot, just like how I appeared this morning in place of our good friend Alex. Today, instead of Joseph or just a lonesome me, we also have the Half Dork chilling with us today. A Game Jam winner, a VoxEdit, I would say champion, but most importantly, a game making master. Go ahead and check out their Twitter. Make sure to check out some of their streams. Let me post that again to that wonderful Twitch. We can make sure that everybody gets to say hi to this gentleman. Boom. There we go.
That's me.
Surprise,
Thanks
surprise, people. How are you doing, Half Dork?
I'm doing well. I mean, this is quite the opportunity to be here and share with you, the good folks at home, a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes with Game Maker. So Rad Condad wants to try a new segment, and I'm all for it. But
yeah,
tell us a little bit about what we're going to be doing tonight. I recall you said there was some news.
Oh yes, so we did have some news that was kind of overlooked throughout the week that we can pop into here in just a second. Of course, we're going to be giving away that wonderful NFT from the Wizzyverse made by Alex Kamisaze himself, which is going to be a Wizzy the Purple's enhanced hat. Ooh, it's going to be so cool.
Collectible.
Lots of collectibles to be had. No season passes yet. No news on season 3 yet. Nothing new, at least for today. Though you guys can look forward to many experiences, and we also did get that update on that map, which was pretty cool, I gotta say. Joe and I went over it a little bit on Thursday, but we didn't get enough gleaned from it. But I am just excited to get in today. We're not gonna be doing so much playing games today, but kind of highlighting what kind of game making process can go into certain types of winning champions that you can see right next to me. So yes, new faces, Leonardo. We're gonna get right into it real soon, but first up, Half Dork, I'm not sure if you've heard some recent news over there on the Twitter. We definitely have more coming in as far as partners go. I know you guys ended up seeing Paris Hilton sawing. Hopefully you're not sawing Paris Hilton, but
Don't saw
otherwise,
Paris Hilton.
right,
Nope.
right. We don't want to take anybody down here, but Paris Hilton is definitely expanding in the metaverse itself. Once again, she's saying something along the lines of Paris World coming into the sandbox.
Isn't that just France?
I think that might be just France, but there's the announcement right there from Paris Hilton. When Paris Hilton, you know what? If we can get Paris Hilton on this show, let's figure it out. Let's do it. We got details coming real soon from that. And then, of course, we have a new VoxEdit contest. Half Dork, I imagine you're familiar with this one.
Ooh, the one with Panda coming up tomorrow. Panda's doing like a 3-hour those mini contests.
We do have Panda's mini contest coming up, but the VoxEdit plurality contest.
That's
just popped that into the chat there. Definitely check that one out, you guys. There is lots of wonderful events, lots of opportunity to win and expand your studios. For instance, this guy right here. What do you think? What are you doing with your winnings here today? Are you just using it to make a living here in Web3, Half Dork, or What do we do
Well,
as a game jam winner?
I will say about 10% of my winnings have actually gone back into Sandbox assets. A little bit more for land. During my first big win, I made sure to buy like a couple plots of land. But outside of that, I'd like to reinvest in the Sandbox. I like to
Okay.
think of content creation the same way Mr. Beast does. Like the more you put into it, the more you get out of it, and the faster you'll basically grow and thrive. But yeah, more or less just putting everything I've earned right back into the Sandbox, other than feed myself. That's a different story.
Right, right. We got to make sure we're eating and getting that good brain food, making these winning games. So let me go
Ooh,
ahead
yeah, plain
and
food.
let's turn on some. Let's make a transition here and let's get some games showing of what your most recent win was. I know if you
Mm,
guys are paying attention to the Squiggleverse, I do believe they had you on their show
mhm.
doing some extra content for them, showing kind of the mechanics of what you did with this game. Ba-ba! Star Runner.
Yeah. So just to give you a quick insight as to me as a game creator, I've participated in 6 and now 7 game jams, and 2 of which I was lucky and fortunate enough to take first place. And so this VoxEdit Star Runner was recently announced. We had the announcement a couple weekends back, but VoxEdit Star Runner was my submission to the VoxEdit lore and just kind of like paid homage to a lot of the storytelling that VoxEdit had set up. And so this game, they really kind of felt was a good fit, I think. And I made sure to check all the boxes they were looking for a sci-fi space exploration game where you're, also thrown into their universe using, the words they're familiar with. And so for these game jams and even the VoxEdit jams, I would highly suggest like you go above and beyond to almost fulfill like what a client would want, because
Okay.
that's obviously what they're looking for. Wouldn't you
Yeah, I
agree?
mean, when they're looking at criteria for a game jam, a lot of people are just right away, right off the bat, have that contest mindset, right? When
Hmm.
if this is your job, then maybe look at it from the perspective as you just mentioned. It's a client giving you what they desire in the workplace. So have a different perspective on it if that helps you get through the work. So definitely checking all the boxes that's going to be necessary, especially to make a winning game.
Yeah. And so what Radcon Dad had suggested for us to do today is just show you behind the scenes, as questions no doubt are going to keep coming in, and I know Conrad's going to have his hands full. But when it comes to Game Maker questions, feel free to tag me at me. I'm also reading the chat, so I'll be able to point out the questions aimed at me as a developer. So yeah, I'm just going to start playing it and kind of slowly break down mechanics,
Yeah,
and we'll see how this goes.
I'm excited to learn alongside you, chat. This is a huge opportunity for me, I gotta say. Oh my.
So I could get into the storytelling aspect. I know this game has been played on this stream before, so I don't want to, uh, I don't know, waste time. I kind of want to get into this educational kind of like mindset. So when it comes to like the storytelling, I'll kind of like skim through it in some ways, because we're going to be looking more at like what makes the game itself, not so much the story. So
Right,
we can
right.
see here, our robot is kind of presented in front of us, and we're kind of like talking to him. And so we can walk through this dialogue with the character and provide different means of continuing and creating this interactive, like immersive dialogue with this character. And so we can see here, like I have multiple choices. And one thing that I've started to do in more games is add a lowercase start or like a leave. Let's just say it's a response that would tell you nothing will happen, or will tell you a quest will begin. And so I've started to incorporate this because Sandbox not only allows it, like Sandbox gives you the tools to make them, but it creates more of like a custom, RPG.
Okay.
And so we can see
Always
like the
gotta love
colors
that.
here. Yeah, exactly. Like role-playing games in general, like people think is like fantasy. And of course, you and I, Conrad, we love fantasy, but at the end of the
Right.
day,
Sci-fi,
it's an
all of the,
experience.
yeah, all of the other genres is
Mhm.
realistically role play within itself.
And so the way this is structured, and we're going to take a look at it behind the scenes after he gives us the quest, is he's telling us that we have a new boss and he is our employer. And so we are now delivering goods after we pick them up. So we can see here a couple of things that we're now going to take a look at behind the scenes as to like what made this dialogue connect. So one thing my fingers immediately do is Control S for saving.
Definitely want to do that often. If anybody's working out there right now, you know what to do.
So a lot of game makers use logic assets, and one thing you'll see the majority use is number pads. Number pads themselves are like a small asset that doesn't take up a lot of space. But one thing that we deep dive in my own streams is we look at how to optimize better. So these number pads actually have hidden faces inside of them. And so I'm just showing you this to leeway into how I set up things. So this
Okay.
number pad here has 18 faces. And so that's relatively a lot for just an asset that the player will never even interact with. However, if you begin talking with this character here, there's going to be multiple pages of dialogue. So each page of dialogue is connected to an asset. And so this is the first page of dialogue. We can see it in the behavior settings. And so I'll leave this up on screen. And sorry if I'm talking at length. I can really go
No,
on tangents here.
it's what we wanted for tonight's show, honest to goodness, because that's something that Joe and I don't get to showcase enough here on the GMAE show, which is the builder aspect of things, and to highlight you community winners. And you know, you're always streaming and you're always making use of your own platform, but this is fantastic. So let's just keep going into it here. I believe Chad is along with this. Yeah, Just Being Sandy says, I'm loving this. Thank you. So thank you so much, Half Dork. You're
Cool.
doing great. Cold cuts and cheese. I'm taking notes right off to the side here, guys. I for real, I got it right here. Don't even worry about it. Let's
Great.
go.
No, I'm glad to hear that. Cool. So just to pick up, so I have a message called start.game. And so we can see here in the asker behavior logic, when that message is received, it allows that dialogue to begin. And so we can see the speaker is BossBot, so that's this character here.
Right, right.
And the question, so BossBot's going to be talking to us. And so it simulates this dialogue where it says, you're finally awake. Skyrim reference. BossBot speaking, your new employer. Did you have a nice cryo sleep? Then you respond, where am I? Which would then send out the next series of events. And so you can attach multiple things to what are called messages in the Game Maker. And so a message is basically like, think of it like a line of code that starts the next process. And so you can do like a domino effect where you start the game, activates a sound effect, but also it activates this asker behavior, but also activates an enemy that begins running towards you. And so one message can do any number of things. So for this particular sequence of events, I have a dialogue using the asker behavior. And so each one of these, what I call lamps, so they're a tall, thin object that I can kind of find and click easier than a number pad. So a lot of people use the number pad, as we saw. I used lamps. And so each one of these is a different page of dialogue that is receiving that message and then spitting out a new statement from our BossBot here. So we can see it has his name, which I have colored. You can
Okay.
also change the hex code, aka the color, of any text by using syntax. And it is using Unity's preferred syntax. So if you guys are curious about that, just look up Unity syntax.
Okay.
Or which
Yeah.
text. Yeah.
I'm a bit lost on that end, but I'll have to do some research. But now, as far as you know, what you're using to attach all this logic to, You did say like a lot of people enjoy using calculators and you use lamps. Can you use anything in this code here?
Yeah. So you can essentially attach a message or a purpose. Basically, you know, artificial intelligence, something to do, a purpose. You can attach that to any asset, any object in the game itself. You can also make that same asset visible, invisible, collidable, non-collidable, so you can pass through it. Or when you
Okay.
collide with it, it can have gravity, so you bump into it and it goes flying.
Have some
Uh,
physics
and
along with it.
yeah, some physics.
Right,
And
right.
so all of these things are simple, but when they're combined, it creates very unique things inside the game maker. And so the game maker gives us these very basic tools, but it invites this creativity to find things that haven't been found before. Like it's still alpha, and so a lot of mechanics are right now conceptualized. So it's I don't know. I get excited. I nerd out about this stuff. I
No,
dork out.
I'm into it. I mean, that's what we're here for, and you only half dork out, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I never go full dork.
There you go. Alrighty. So what is really the secret to your process? If you have any secrets to really give away, because we've kind of walked over what you're doing, and a lot of your own various chats and your own game making process, because a lot of people can actually
Mhm.
follow you creating these, right? For the majority of the process. Um, but you definitely have some sort of secret mojo, if you will, that is getting your games to this higher level and quality. So even when I'm seeing like you know even when I'm seeing like solid criticism come through, it's still not enough to push the game down, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. So like, what is this mojo that you're attracting gamers to?
Well, I appreciate the ego boost. However, I think we can all relatively point out like our strengths and weaknesses. I would say my strengths are writing. I feel as though I can write like a good narrative because I've practiced with it. Because I play Dungeons and Dragons and I exercise that creative muscle, and you attend those as well, and you're
Right.
also a storyteller, and so I think that would be one of your strengths as well, Conrad. Uh, and so I'm able to use that storytelling to push a narrative and push a game that the player wants to continue. And as for weaknesses, though, because we all have things we need to improve on, I would say structuring my time is definitely one of the big ones for me. I'm also kind of struggling to make assets these days. I feel as though I've spent so much time in Game Maker and not VoxEdit.
Okay.
And yeah,
All right.
but
So just generally being able to have a creative narrative mindset. So would you call that, um, rather quality of story over gameplay at this point is more of your concentration?
yeah, that's a good way to put it in perspective. I would say that I've spent time making stories, and so that allows me to come up with like what happens next. Oh, but then this happens, and it gives this kind of way to keep the player enthralled and enjoying the experience. And I kind of enjoy wordplay a lot, so I like to throw in witty one-liners and whatnot just to make myself laugh. And if I can make myself laugh, hopefully I can make someone who plays my game laugh and enjoy
Okay.
themselves.
Okay. Need to get them creative juices flowing. All right.
Mhm.
Well, right on. So what gave you the inspiration to throw this thing on this game specifically on this like one plane, right? So what would this look like if we actually had a floor to this level and you were to take
Yeah,
an outside
so
perspective? So let's take a
we
look
get
at the game maker here a little bit, if you
yeah,
don't
let's
mind.
let's let's keep Half Dork back on track. So what we're looking at here is a giant 2x2 land. So that's four lands together that I basically made a giant box around. So it's a thin wall, but the secret ingredient is crime. No, the secret ingredient
What?
is this giant backdrop. So I actually made an asset that is about 24 by 24 squares. And so these squares are all 256 pixels. And so 24 of those lined side to side in VoxEdit. And then I
Okay.
placed them all connected on my map here so that the player can basically glide along this invisible object and not actual ground. So it is an asset that they are, like flying on in space.
Yeah, so
But
we've just turned on collision to that asset and then made it just completely invisible.
exactly. And I've also prevented the player from getting too close to the walls. One thing I've seen you and Joe and Alex and Panda do. I don't know about Lucas. Lucas, he's a good one. But they peek through the walls. So sometimes you can cheat and just look outside of a wall just by putting your face up against it. So what I did was I put these same invisible assets as a kind of barrier. So like you couldn't even put your face up against the wall itself. And that's something I like to
Smart.
keep in mind with a lot of gamers because people
I
sometimes
do it.
they're curious. It's
Right,
curious,
right. I do it
curiosity.
literally out of curiosity. I want to know like, oh, where am I relative on this maze? You know what I mean? So, yeah, no, that's a good little trick there. It'll keep our noses
Mhm,
out of things. So so we have this huge skybox that you ended up making essentially.
mhm.
Do you run into any issues with lighting when you've done this sort of thing?
Yes. What's nice is we're going to be getting like a lighting upgrade, as far as I know, in the next you know, game maker patch or two. But for now, we're limited to the ambience lighting. And so,
Right,
just to
right.
give you an example, if I were to just hop into the game and just kind of rotate around, we can see that there's not only depth of field. So if I'm looking at the far wall there, I can't exactly see like the stars that well. But there's also this gradient effect because of the lighting. And the wall itself is black, but because of the lighting, it has this purple hue the further out you're looking, as long as there's nothing, to catch that light that's near you.
Okay. You know,
And so if
I
I were
had thought that the kind of fog effect
Mhm.
that you layered on there, I thought that was intentional, if I'm being honest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing. I think in space it definitely helps because you're at least able to see these planets out in the distance, and that gives you like a focal point because of that gradient. So, but just to provide an example with the ambient lighting, I changed it to noontime, and so now it has this very cyan light blue.
Oh my
And
goodness,
I
yeah.
yeah, so I was committed to that night shade in a way. But there really isn't any lighting outside of that ambience at this time.
Okay, okay. But still, that's a good creative use of this here to try and get that fog effect. Did you
Mhm.
have any ideas or any thoughts to kind of put some of these planets and stars at like different levels, or did that just not show up in the game plan?
Yeah, that's a great kind of test to do, is to see how it feels as a player to roam around and have to go up, let's just say at a slant, and see one planet a couple voxels above the other. Perhaps like the player might be more interested in this particular planet, and so it does add this sense of depth. But at the same time, I found that it was a little bit hard to navigate. Also, you would have needed actual like objects to provide that slant, or an extra block up, and so it didn't feel natural to me. And so that's why I committed to this. All of the planets are on the same plane with the
Okay.
same, as the character.
What about some like decoration planets if you were to continue this build?
Yeah, I would totally put some of these planets out of reach. Perhaps like this one over here, I might have placed outside of the invisible wall so you could only look at it and you couldn't make that great distance. So if we're talking in terms
Right.
of space, like light years away.
That's yeah, that's kind of what I was kind of implying too. So, as
Mhm.
far as these game maker games go, and how you've been playing, in the space like as a player, and then you get this idea like that you want to go into the game maker and start that next level and get on that next step. Uh, what inspired you to start making games to begin with?
What inspired me was the avenue for storytelling. I actually explored writing a book. I was before I found the sandbox, I was actually writing a fantasy novel, and I put about 40,000 words in. And life happens, you get distracted, and then I came back and revisited that book, and I was like, I don't like what I made. And so I was at this kind of like point where I was going to rewrite an entire book I was working on. But then Sandbox came around, and I got this crazy idea to like, oh, I'll just, make it a game. Like I can
Okay.
use this software to make my book into a game. And that's where Runeblade, my very first game maker experience, that's what inspired it.
Okay, that's a lot of fun. That's it's an easy transition if you already have some of the material like ready and available, right? So as far as some of your narratives have come up with, you already have some good source material to grab from. Do you have any advice for anybody who's new to game making and sort of setting up that narrative as easily as you have kind of shown?
Yeah, I would say when it comes to working in Game Maker and making a game itself, that you just have to do it. You have to start. And it's a little bit foreboding, and you can say like, "Oh, but I don't have an idea. I don't have anything." But I think if you just put your mind to something, like it's like putting one foot in front of the other. Eventually, you're going to get a flow, and you're going to start, figuring it out as you go. I think a lot of people, myself included, like you have to imagine the roadmap first. You have to imagine like the final product. But when you're just starting out, the best advice I can give is to just start.
Okay.
Simple as that. Yeah.
Literally just get the pen onto the paper, if you will.
Yes.
Is that
Exactly.
okay? So you just kind of allow your creative flow to just go through you, and then that's how you get your narratives to like start up. Is just simply just going
Yes.
to town.
Me personally, like I have about a dozen ideas that I have written down that I would totally like take out and start working on tonight.
Okay.
However, one thing that will help you getting started are all of these great contests that the sandbox is like literally providing funding like for top 10. Like it's a great way to incentivize you to just get going and put you know your hands on the keyboard really.
Right.
So they
Right.
give you, yeah, they give you those outlines to get going, an
So,
idea.
as one of our chatters over here, just being Sandy says hardest part for being a noob is showing someone else your work.
Hmm.
So as we're over here and we all kind of criticize ourselves to that extent, I know you feel that creative process as well, where we're our best judge, right? And our worst
Hmm.
critic. But at the same time, do you ever catch yourself where if you were to look back at your own creative process, what would you do differently, for instance, to maximize your time for this build? Because with these game jams, that's just the nature of it, right? It's a jam. You got to do it quickly. How
Yeah.
else would you have maximized your time for this win?
A couple of creators have pointed out some of the things that improved their overall experience making, these games, and that was to have some software or like a notepad, even on paper. Like I've seen a couple creators just send me a picture of what they drew, basically like a two-dimensional map where it's like over here is the city hall, over here's the bank, and then this is the route that you as the bank robber is going to take to make your great escape. And just having some sort of uh, document or software that kind of like gives you that mind map, that ability to just look at your progress
Okay.
as it happens.
being able to kind of always keep that win in mind and have it in the distance. Is that what you're trying to say there?
Mhm.
Being able to just,
Yeah,
have your goals in front of you. Really.
exactly.
All right.
Yeah, I think the next game I do, I'm going to literally like draw uh what envisioning in terms of like a layout. Because that I think is one of the harder parts is just having that space to play in. And so if I were
Okay.
to advise someone, I would say, make a map, like a literal map of your
Right,
experience.
right. So begin to storyboard what you're doing before going
Yeah,
elsewhere. I'm with it.
storyboard's great. Yeah, yeah.
So what do we got here as far as like, so we have your little shifting asteroids and orbs and whatnot.
Yes.
Uh, is there just an easy like way to make that effect without like having some extreme knowledge on how these animations really roll? Because you
Mm.
have, so we've got a lot going on here logic wise, but of course you don't have to know anything for the game maker walking into it because it's its own beast. No coding required, but just to simply make it spin like that, what would be the
Oh,
first step that I would
so
do? Let's go into something super simple for this chat. I want to know.
yeah. So the spin itself, I did in VoxEdit. So you can't
Okay.
necessarily make an asset spin. I could go on a tangent on how to make an asset spin using door behaviors, but I'm gonna stop myself there. However, if you want,
No, no,
an
don't worry
asset
about it.
to, if
We
you want,
we we want to know. We want to know. The chat is here for it. But continue with what you were saying. I apologize for cutting you off.
oh no, you're quite all right. Just to answer your question about making this asteroid spin, that was done in VoxEdit, and so I had a looped animation on this very small rock that I just made it rotate in three-dimensional space, exported it, and then brought it in to Game Maker using that
Okay.
VoxEdit software.
So
And once,
you're telling me that
uh
if I
huh,
were to go over to sandbox.game and go to the
oh
create tab and click on Game Maker, I could download this exact software that's looking at us right now? And then I could
yeah,
download the VoxEdit software and create an asset and create the animations for it right now?
right, yeah.
Of
If you
course, I had
go
to
to the
segue.
Sandbox,
Thank you so much, Halfdork, for putting that inside the chat. But yes, thank you so much. That was an easy segue to go into. Just simply, you can do a lot of really simple and easy effects that can enhance your world, as simple as like an asteroid here. So what do you got here on that spin? So what was the true like hurdle with doing simple things like just simply making it turn like that?
so, without actually opening up VoxEdit itself, you are able to rotate an asset in three-dimensional space on the X, the Y, and the Z axis.
Hmm.
So, if we were to take a look at this asset in particular, we can see that it has the X, Y, and Z asset. So, or axes, but red is your X, Z, or I'm sorry, I should go in order. Red is X, Y is green, and then the blue is your Z axis. And so that's front to back, up
Right.
and down, left and right. And so in VoxEdit, you're able to create in three-dimensional space and you're able to animate using that same space. So it's very easy to make a sci-fi asset, such as a rotating planet. So all of my planets, I believe, have that very slow rotation. And so that really adds to the immersiveness when you're looking for little details like those that really just sell the environment and the world around
Okay.
you.
I'm into it. No, you can do little subtle effects. I mean, for instance, that was just a a very very simple, I gotta say, set of cubes put together, and there's just two colors to it. But as you're drifting around the world, it makes sense. It is supposed
Mhm.
to be there. There's a lot you can do with just a few pixels, guys. It's very very cool to see what you've done here. Do you
Thank you.
have do you have anything that you would have we've kind of touched down on like what you do to make things a little bit easier in like
Mhm.
crunch time, right? But is there anything that you would like to upgrade this game going forward as you continue to work on this one? or if you're going to work on this one at all in the future.
Yes, I would love to work on this, especially if VoxEdit would like, to host it on one of their mini lands. So one of the pieces of feedback that you guys gave me during a GMAE show, which you can catch, what is it, Monday, Tuesdays, Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays at 3
That's
p.m.
correct.
3 p.m. Oh, okay.
Yeah, 3 a.m. UTC. Always trying to put in that
Oh,
shameless self plug. Come join us.
3 a.m.
Right,
UTC,
right,
Monday,
right.
Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
We'll be changing that schedule once again once
Oh,
the
we're changing.
season starts. But anywho, as we continue here,
Anyway.
what were you going to do to upgrade this experience going forward here?
To upgrade this, I was going to add more conflict. So that was one of Joe's probably most common pieces of feedback for me is not enough conflict. And so that would
Right,
mean
right.
having some sort of entity that might chase me, or perhaps like the police catch me for speeding in a no speed zone when I'm flying around these planets, or perhaps uh, having some sort of like alien UFO that suddenly pops up when I reach a certain landmark, and just being able to find creative uses for the space, and also to add more conflict, because right now there's only like 3 quests in the game. The main bulk of my experience is teaching you about VoxEdit, and so you can
Right,
walk
right.
up to objects and learn a little bit more about them.
That was really the
So
the winning point in my opinion as far as this game went, was purely that extra step away from having to learn about the game and just how into it, as a player, it felt that the dev was yourself. So very, very cool. But otherwise, okay, so adding some conflict, adding some extra, some pain and sorrow that could potentially happen. Uh, the stakes make them live, if you will.
yeah, damsels in distress.
Exactly. So instead of it just being a simple literal walk in the park, but instead we're in space. Do you now on the animation of the ship itself? So I felt that the
Mm-hmm.
ship was unfortunately the most hurtful part for me, as far as like
Oh,
points wise goes. So we
okay.
got this very simple aspect, and then the
Mm-hmm.
laser beams I love. It's very cute, but our design here, there's something is missing. I can't quite put my finger on
Mm.
it, but is there anything that you'd change on this ship asset, or are you just completely satisfied with this guy?
I'm not really satisfied with it now that you've said that, but
I was not trying to
I
put a light
do.
on it in a negative way, of course.
Of course not. I personally had to cut some corners. Did you know that this is actually using first person camera? So,
That I was going to comment on that earlier, as if you do a jump, you can kind of get an idea of that, like a little hint, but
mhm.
you can't ever confirm. So yeah, what's going on with that?
So this is probably my biggest gripe, but I used it for a couple reasons. So the main way to tell is like if you tilt the camera up or down, like you can see that it's not centered on our little spaceship here. But if you go
Right,
left to right, you're still turning normally. So the up and down can be very disorienting, I think, for someone who just hops in for the first time.
right,
However,
right,
I think what's missing, as you said, is having that understanding of like the front of our spaceship, because we don't see the front. We're only seeing like this one side, and we'll never see the front. There's also outside of like doing a flip, obviously, but I didn't really like the lasers, especially how they like fall. It doesn't feel like a laser to me.
right, right. Okay. It's. I mean, sure, it could always use a little bit more. Maybe if it actually if the animation looped a little easier, because the lasers instead of falling down, actually
Hmm.
dissipated out as they went out. But there's only so much time in the world. How many days did you actually spend on this one? I know that there was some days where you actually forego doing some sleep and some extra work. How are those jam days?
Honestly, I thrive in deadline-driven environments. Fun fact about me is I worked at 2 different news stations as a work study video editor, graphic designer, and I just was the reliable guy when it came to tech and software because I could work under pressure. I could pump out like a PNG for the newscast that night. And
Okay.
so when it
Yeah.
came to game jams, the last like 48 hours, like I found my groove. It's almost like you understand when a deadline is fast approaching. And for me, I work very well under pressure. Uh, when it comes to structuring a game jam, this one was a 2 week long game jam. And so, well, probably 3 week, but regardless, like that first week is usually like planning stages and thinking about all the assets you'll need. You'll likely start on the assets and start on the land and get a feel for like the geography and the world itself. The bulk of the game is going to be in those second and third weeks. So you really got to like pace yourself, especially with these jams. I personally do not recommend the deadline driven, last 12 hours. Uh, Sometimes you'll just have a bug and you'll never have enough time to fix it.
Right, right. Okay. And so I know that you did kind of an announcement in your Discord as you're bringing together your own little bit of community as well, as you're, doing your own success on your own streams. I know you've gotten my attention, Joe's attention, and we've gotten to go on your show as part of the D&D crowd now. And it's grown to a friendship that allows me to say, hey, I need a host for tonight. You want to join me? Which thank you again so much
Hey,
for joining me.
thank you. I'm glad to be here.
But otherwise, as far as like how these games end up adapting on the show when you're just a viewer and you want us to test them, at which
hmm
stages would you bring the game to a game tester? I know on your show, or not on your show, rather on your Discord, you were recruiting for game
Mm,
testers for your GMAE game jam, and you were trying
yes.
to get some help with that. At what stages would you bring those games to your game testers or to myself and Joe?
So, Touche was the one that tipped me off to this. So, shout out Touche. But having game testers and having them at intervals. So, let's just say weekend
Correct.
1, weekend 2, weekend 3 greatly improves the overall playability of your game because you're getting that feedback that is vital to kind of telling you as a developer, oh, that's what a player is thinking. Oh, that's, the path that they would have taken. Oh, those are the assets that they're touching first. And so having that feedback greatly enhances the overall user experience. Big shout out to I am Bengali and VVox, who have been a huge part of my last couple beta tests. So shout out
Okay.
to I am Bengali and VVox.
Fantastic members in the community, super active too. But so, at what stage, like, would you say the game would be done? Right? Do you go in
Mm.
after you've set up all of kind of like your game logic to where, like, let's use this game as an example. Let's say you didn't have any planets out there, or you weren't done with all of the extra quest logics to where things didn't quite go
Mm.
into the direction they need. How much extra progress would you go before you wanted another test again? Right. I know every
Yeah.
project's
Uh,
going to be different, of course, but let's use this one
mhm.
as an example.
Right. That's a very good point to put in perspective. Basically, you want to have these chapters that you're actively making in order for the player and your beta testers to be like, oh, okay, this is as far as he's gotten or she's gotten in terms of like the game experience. Like you'll be able to hand off, your published draft version and be like, okay, guys, you can play up until the first boss where you have to, take him out by the kneecaps. After that, the scene's done and you can't go any further. They'll
Right.
basically
You just kind of inform them,
you
oh, yeah, you're going to have a broken game from here on out. Like, thank you
exactly.
for testing what I had.
hmm And what's
Yeah.
nice is you can go and find your game in the drafts gallery keep in mind, not your editable game. You'll want to find your game in the drafts gallery, and you can delete it. So you could actually delete the page that people will click and play from. Never delete it from your main page, but seek in the drafts gallery, find your game, make sure it's the player's version, and you can actually delete it there in case you don't want people to play it in between these chapters or beta tests. And that's how I and my team approached this recent GMAE game jam.
Okay.
Is we removed it so you couldn't play it, so it would still be a surprise for a lot of people.
Interesting. That's why you were so secretive about it. Because I know I actually did look for it at one point as you guys were looking, like as you guys were building on it. I was trying to be sneaky a little bit, but it did not happen. I was unsuccessful, of course, as you know. But otherwise, on this chat, we do something every single GMAE show, and normally Joe gets real hype about it. He goes, "Oh, hype!" I'm trying to channel my inner Joe, but today is a bit more chill. It's been a long day. Got to help out Lucas this morning, have a good time with him. And on that show, and on these shows, we do a form that gets sent out to all of you lovelies, where you can potentially pick up yourself a Wizzy's the Purple Enhanced hat.
Enhanced hat. Enhanced. Wow, what's it enhanced with?
Magic.
Magically enhanced.
Science. Mostly science, though. Science magic.
Synthetic magic.
You gotta do that. That Joseph seductive low voice. You gotta channel your inner Joe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I can't do it. See, it won't happen today. My energy's too low, so I got this coffee. It's not kicking in yet, chat. It's not kicking in.
Okay.
But that is the giveaway right there to try and get yourself a purple hat. As you join myself and this beautiful gentleman with me today, Half Dork, who's just kind of going over what we're doing here in the Game Maker and just doing that perspective from where our games would be. So what do you got, guys?
Yeah. And so, good luck, everybody, in the hat giveaway. We all hear Joseph's voice. We've been here long enough. We're fans of the Joe.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah. He's here in spirit.
He haunts my every waking nightmare. I cannot wake up without getting triggered at least once per day. So I mean that in the most sincere way. Can't wait to help you on Monday, buddy. Yeah. Much love. Hope you're watching.
It's a friendly haunting, he's like a Casper.
Right. Definitely not a cat though. No. But I do want to do another segue here, as I do hope everybody here is feeling well. And if you happen to not be, then do remember that feeling is fleeting, and you will feel better in due time. Time is always going to be the best healer, and whatever it is you're going through, my friend, you're strong, and you are stronger than you think you are. You'll get through it. And if you need extra help along the way, you have voices and ears across the metaverse ready to help you out. So let's do it, guys. Let's freaking keep building while number goes up and number goes down. So you have a bunch of little toggles that you're looking at here. What is happening? What is happening?
Yeah, we're doing a deep dive in the Game Maker today, but I was going to show you our asteroid quest. So we're taking it slowly, learning a little bit about this particular game, Star Runner. So what you do at the very start of the game is you mine asteroids.
Right.
So what I've done, is I've set up just quest markers that appear above them so you can find them. Because a little rock in space, that's kind of difficult to find. So we added what are called indicators to each of the asteroids so that the player can find them faster. And we see here that the quest launches after I talk to our boss bot about 3 pages in. So that's my own marker. But then the quest type is a counter, and it's counting the deaths of asteroids.
Oh, no.
So
okay.
The death of asteroids. That sounds like a cool metal band. I don't know.
Yeah, right. That's where my mind went with it as well.
Is it? Oh, cool. So quest types, you can do a variety of quest types, but for this particular one, it's a counter quest. You could also do like a final boss would be like an asset death. You can have a timer quest to where if you don't collect a certain asteroid or asteroids, you would get game over. Or you can have a quest that is just waiting for you to reach a destination or receive a new message. And so for this particular quest, we have the death of 20 asteroids. So 20 tagged asteroids. So a tag we're going to take a look at. And then once we get all 20 of them, that's an auto completion for the quest, and it starts our delivery quest. And so we can see here, just to walk through it one more time, we auto unlock the quest, but the quest doesn't launch until we talk 3 times to our boss bot. The type of quest is a counter, so we're collecting asteroids. And then lastly, it auto completes once we get that number, so 20, and it starts the next quest after we complete it.
Oh my goodness. Twitch chat is trying to troll some bots here. As they're putting in exclamation point 1111 to quote unquote increase their chances, or sorry, to enhance your chance of winning, as Dr. Metaverso typed in. I can reassure you there is no way to enhance your chances of winning other than just simply being present and answering my little bot question that you need to get through. But thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. As you were saying, though, we do actually have a question coming in from Smokestone Media. They wanted to know if you were ever going to put on a kind of slanted, invisible platform for you to go and interact with things vertically, and as we kind of discussed before. So you kind of touched down how that would kind of mess with things. So what did that turn off? So what did that mess up?
Right. The biggest issue with slanted platforms is the way the character goes up them. So if you're playing in the Game Maker, you understand right now, like if you're going upstairs, depending on how the developer made them, like you could glide up if they're not like set up properly. And I kind of thought ahead in a way. So I had like a pros and cons of like, why wouldn't I use like a slanted space? But for the most part, like from my experience, a flat kind of like 2D plane where the player is kind of like gliding around in their spaceship, it felt natural. And so that's why I went with it ultimately. But when it comes to slanted objects as the player, it's not going to be working the same in the next version. So we actually got some hints at that. Yeah, so
we did get
does a little bit more.
So we did get a couple hints on how we're not going to be able to ride up slants too well. As Smokestone Media points out, 15-degree angle stays pretty smooth over there on YouTube. It does right now, though we're not sure on where it's going to stay and really what's going to be that comfortable angle from here on out as the Game Maker continues to get updates. We did get some beans this morning, though. If you were with myself and Lucas on the Saturday morning show, we had Alex in the chat. He gave us some beans for those of you who weren't with us. They got informed everybody that 07 and the VoxEdit update are happening along with Season 3. They're going to be released at the same time. So when that is, we still don't know. Speculation is in the air, but we're going to have the first iteration of 07 real soon, which I believe is going to have easy sitting and easy walking. So those really early hide and seek sessions with PandaPops are going to be, those are going to be hard. Being able to sit down and blend into assets, that's going to kill me.
Rakonda, you've gotten me excited, and I have questions. So will you answer my questions, or should I?
What do you have? You're a chatter here. You're as closest to these folks as and the majority of our guests are going to be. So what do you got here?
Yeah, I'll keep the questions relatively vague. So we're not, crossing over anything.
You can be exactly forward about it. I here at the Sandbox, even though I have keys to the car, It's Dad's car. I'm just driving it for the night. I'm taking half dork out to prom, everybody. I
Riding
haven't signed
shotgun.
I haven't signed any NDAs, but otherwise I'm still gonna appreciate, and I'm not gonna scratch up the car. So let's keep the paint real clean. Ask away,
Sure.
but whether or not I answer is a different question. So
Very well. So my first question with the alpha, are all the experiences using 0.7?
I cannot answer that.
Okay. uh 0.7, we can look forward to stealth mechanics.
Uh, yes, but also not right away, of course.
Okay.
With
And I
all,
believe
I'm not sure if you were if you saw the very first roadmap that was shown for 07 and the extra ideas, but of course there's a lot of crazy things on that list, and along that
Mhm.
list things are going to be released slowly. So of course, as we've gotten 6.0 here, there's some pretty cool things happening.
Oh yeah.
I have one important bean that I was going to keep to myself, but you know,
Important
I'm
bean.
gonna I'm gonna quote PandaPops today. Um, chat, you might see the screen go gray for a moment. I can't actually do that on that. Oh, give me 1 second here. I want to be able to quote PandaPops on this for sure, because it brought me so much joy this morning.
Mm. Yeah.
Let me find this here. But
We got a lot
otherwise,
of almost spilled.
this is gonna be some pretty big beans, so bear with me. Bear
Yeah,
with me
safety
here.
first, especially with streaming. Those of you that consider streaming, please be sure that what you're revealing to your audience isn't damning or isn't, showing
Right, right.
financial things. Crypto is finances.
Please,
So,
everybody, not financial advice. Do your own research. But as Panda Pop said today, I'm gonna take a leaf out of Joseph's book. Post first,
oh,
apologize later.
oh, post apologize later.
As you know, we had Panda kind of reveal those other two beans, which is the walking mechanic a little bit more, and of course sitting,
Oh,
as we got to
oh,
see.
I love
Um,
sitting.
and
I'm
you
doing it
know,
right now.
right. It's one of my favorite things. Uh,
Fast time.
Roxy Miguel might over there on Twitch have an idea of some things that are happening and maybe coming with the VoxEdit update. Um, there's a certain amount of kind of sets that you can do, and
Mm.
that's about the most that I can say on that or elaborate on that one. I'm just really excited for all of you VoxEdit creators, and you're going to have some quality of life changes that is just going to change the game if you're new to it. And if you have been around for a long time, then you are going to be excited for some kind of something to come back with that Vox edit. It's hard for me to elaborate without directly giving off what I'm saying here, because of course I don't necessarily want to give away all of the details when I'm not supposed to. But if you can kind of imagine what's being worked on for quality of life in VoxEdit and what's been taken away from you old, I can't even say old, but you OG, I should say, VoxEdit
Ah.
creators. It's some new old upgrades that people are looking at. But that's the most I'll say on that one as I begin to close out my responses, and we're gonna dedupify, uh,
Dedupify.
and when we're going to get ourselves a Wizzy Hat winner. I mean,
I'm thinking of a number.
Chat kind of has an idea. We're kind of in some knowledge here. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe. Who
We'll
knows?
figure it out, chat. Maybe
Just
it'll
fill in the
happen.
blanks. Yeah.
Is it gonna happen today? I don't know. Probably not. You can speculate with that one for sure.
Yeah.
But is it going to
just good.
happen? Is it going to happen right away? I don't know. That's why I can't say anything. That's why I can't confirm anything. But I do know things are getting worked on. In
Okay.
that
something.
direction. In that direction, I should say. And soon.
Baby steps. Let's go.
Baby steps.
Hey,
Like
steps.
chat. I've seen things. Oh.
You okay? You want to
I
talk about it?
shouldn't see anything, chat. Are you kidding me? I am the biggest double agent for you guys, and I'm such a good boy.
It's true.
I don't do anything. I don't even spill any beans. I could spill them all. I could open up the floodgates, but it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
Whose side are you on, Ratcon Den? I thought you were on the people's side.
I am, and that's why I'm protecting you. I'm shielding your eyes from greatness.
No,
Right.
We have to have the beans trickle. It's true.
It's too much. I'm every day I grow another year older. It's soon you'll see this beard turn a grayish Gandalfy white, if you will, and I'll be drifting away with the pure pressure of holding all of these beans. The only reason it's brown right now is because of how brown those beans are. I can't keep this one up. Ridiculous though. So there is some quality of life happening with the VoxEdit, and we did get that confirmation that VoxEdit update and that Game Maker update is happening with Season 3. So I'm excited for that, and it seems like KYC is happening with Season 3. It's going to be a very, very big event when we get Season 3, and there's still no announcement. Come on.
Yeah.
This is killing me.
I know a lot of people are impatient with waiting, but just keep in mind, they're trying to do this right. This is going to be such a big reveal that we don't want hiccups. We don't want there to be Sandbox, going offline during the alpha. And so they're checking off every single box to make sure that this experience is going to be the best one yet. And so I am so looking forward to it. And especially now that we're getting Game Maker and VoxEdit upgrades too. Like, that's huge.
Beautiful. Well, as we do come down to our final minutes here, chat is going a little crazy. I'm trying to keep up with you. Just give me a moment here. Do you think they'll announce the date? Will it be a month after they announce it? Or, ooh, okay. Okay, Lord Agnew. Let me read this. Let me reread this here. Lord Agnew over on YouTube says, Conrad, do you think when they announce the date of Season 3, it will be a month after they announce it, or do you think it will be quick after they announce it? Does it make sense? That did not make any sense to me. We're gonna have to retry that one. If anything, it'll happen. I have a feeling that when Season 3 gets announced, it's going to be a drop of a pin, right? Like it's going to be bang, okay, let's go, right? It's been announced, everybody start, go, right? It's just going to be good luck, everybody, we're getting into it right now. I have a feeling that's what's going to happen. I don't think they're going to wait for any time, as we are coming into crunch time, because we were told summer, and that's one thing that I want to see happen here in the sandbox, is that when we get these prediction dates, that we can at least try to get around them, even though we want to keep everything perfect, tight, and not release anything that's broken, crazy like. I still think that when Season 3 is announced, people are going to have time to scramble, and that's about it. August 32nd, says Uncle Grumpy. I love it. So, yeah, how long between announcement and start date? Hodel Hill says that's what they were trying to ask. I'm with it now. Yeah, I have a feeling that as soon as it happens, you're not gonna get sleep. Right? Not Jackie Chan. Right? We're gonna see it. It's gonna happen. It's gonna be a wild day. And also, chatters, I don't want to keep our fantastic guest. I want to say thank you again to Half Dork here for joining me And Halfdork, our
Have a
winner
good-
today, as we didn't actually announce it yet,
Yes.
they answered to the question for my robot question today, who is at Halfdork? We had some fantastic responses. The majority of them have now learned who you are and or are already familiar with you.
Yay!
So go check this guy out on all of his social medias at Halfdork. And it's instead of an O, it is going to be a 0, folks. So D0RK. So half D0RK.
Yep.
But our winner,
hero.
our winner of the the purple enhanced Wizzy hat today, with the answer to who is Halfdork, my week or daily wake-up call, they ask, Sparky Snickle.
Hey.
Congratulations. You're today's winner.
Snickle, let's go!
Let's go. Sparky, thank you so much for joining us today. You're the purple hat winner for the second Saturday stream. And we'll be taking tomorrow off, chatters. Sunday is going to be free, but you can look forward to more events like this one where we have special guests joining us. Maybe a Lucas, maybe we can get Alex, maybe we convince somebody like VVox to join us on the show, maybe even OG Shakespeare, some of you YouTube pals, join us over here. Maybe we can get Seb to pop on the show for a moment. I'm into it. Let's take over the show while Joe is gone. He doesn't have internet right now, so he's in panic mode, and I'm taking over the show. So let's go, gamers. I'm gonna play us away as we begin to
Start dancing.
we're gonna you're gonna imagine you can imagine the music, okay? How about that?
Okay.
How about that?
Silent disco.
Right. Silent disco. Thank you so much, everybody. I happen to enjoy you all. You're fantastic, beautiful people. And I want all of you to remember that you got a friend here at the GMAE. And we got your back. So let's see you next time. We'll catch you on Monday, everybody. Have a wonderful Sunday.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. See ya.
they can still hear us, Halfdork, but as always, my friends, we raid out over on Twitch. I'll be looking for somebody that is doing some beautiful sandbox gaming right now over on Twitch. And it looks like we do have one friend.
Ratcondad's live. We can stream.
Oh no. That's me not figuring out how to how to get the gosh dang Streamlabs to work properly.
Hey,
oh, chatters.
The viewers.
Oh, chatters.
Here's their name. Hahi Mituha.
Yeah. I'm gonna butcher that name.
Looks like a Japanese stream.
Right. We're gonna go say hi. Very fun.
Thank you again for having me on the show, Ratcondad, and you're a great host, and thank you for always being as caring as you are.
It's just a vibe out here. You gotta remember to be good to your friends and be even better to strangers.
Hey.
All about the respect. Can I put through a raid? Am I ever gonna figure it out, chat? Can he do it?
So here's the command / raid.
We got the name put through now. We're getting out of here, chatters. Thank you so much, everybody, once again. As my disco vibes go out there and you get our soft voices in your ears. Have a beautiful, beautiful time, everybody. We'll catch you next time.